What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how's it going, Leah? Appreciate you having me on your new podcast. I'm so excited to be here.
I am pumped. This is the officially second podcast for the Roof Monkey podcast, and I'm excited for it. I have quite the lineup, and I'm excited to see what I can bring to the table for everyone.
Yeah, heck yeah. And have you enjoyed doing it so far?
So far, yes, I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It's kind of you have a lot to say, but then when it comes to situations like this, you're like, oh, do I really?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's so much better when
I
you have someone else there to talk to as well. I did a standalone podcast for a while and it was just so awkward because it was me talking to the camera and it's just like I have nothing to say to you. You're not a person.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
and you
but
kind
I
of
always
get you
love
kind of
being in. Mhm.
yeah, you run out of those one-sided conversations.
Yes. And so I always get thrilled when I get to go on podcasts and have great conversations, like I'm sure this one will be. So,
For sure, for sure. So how is the market down there in Memphis? You guys have pretty straightforward weather there, so you guys can roof all winter long, can't you?
yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty warm in the wintertime. Like we get a few cold snaps that come through every once in a while. And like as far as the market goes, Memphis is kind of under the radar, which I like. Like we get new people that come to the market every year that start up new roofing companies, but you have the same 3 to 5 big players that are in town that's been here forever, and it's everyone's cordial with each other, and we are more of a retail market rather than a insurance market. So at the moment, but it would be nice to get a big storm that rolls through here at some point. So yeah, it's been 10 years for me now. I've been selling roofs for 10 years, and then Masters Roofing been open since 2008. So to be in this industry for that long and to be family owned and operated and not have to move anywhere and uproot my life, it's been pretty cool and steady. And that's a blessing in this industry because more rare than not.
Yeah, the SBA does say like 10% of roofers will lose their company within the first five to 6 years of being in this business. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I think it's honestly just because the proof is in the pudding. Depends on the type of work that you're doing.
Yeah,
So
100%. I
yeah,
think the reputation that you choose to carry, whether, you go out to Mrs. Jones's house and during the tear off, you damage a gutter, the people that decide to take care of it most likely will be in business 5 years from now. The people that don't decide to take care of it most likely won't be in business 5 years from now.
correct. Yeah, the products that you stand behind and the products that you install play a huge factor in it as well as your installers are, I think, 95% of that, but you do need a good product for sure. So you
100%.
said,
And
so
mhm.
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
You're good. Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of the great thing about us is we've been with the same crew since the beginning of the company, and we love installing good quality products too, and we stand behind it. So I think that's the recipe to have a great and successful roofing company is doing what you say you're going to do and delivering and making sure that you have a lasting impact on the market. And that starts with standing behind what you're doing each and every day.
Totally agree with you. So you guys are mainly retail price. So if you don't mind me asking, when you guys get these jobs when a storm rolls through and you're competing against all these storm chasers, so to speak, how does your company handle that situation?
Well, I think that well, the good thing is when you've been in business forever, it kind of lets you that's like like inherent perk of being able to go out and compete against these guys that are storm chasers or haven't been around for as long as we have. So having a steady track record, the Google reviews, the BBB reviews, the accolades from the manufacturers, we were Bright Star Award winners back in 2018, which only 1% or five contractors from each region get each and every year. Having those credentials and then being able to show the process of how we do everything by the amount of documenting I do on a day-to-day basis when it comes to installing roofs and breaking metal. I have a set presentation that I go into the house that I think sets us apart pretty well from the rest of the market. And I actually talked to a lot of guys about this at the Roofing Expo. One of the things that I kind of gave way to people was like, you want to have 3 to 5 things that you're doing that no one else is doing in your market, whether that's installing roof ivent products or TPO in a dead valley on the front right hand side of the house instead of ice and water and shingles, you know? So I think if you're going in and you're presenting it a different way and you're addressing the problems a different way than the rest of the market, that immediately makes you different than everyone else. So, and I'm from the school of Rodney Webb too. So I think I listened to one of your other podcasts, or maybe it was the podcast that you did with the Roofing Millionaire podcast with Foz,
Yes,
and you
yes.
mentioned that book by Rodney. And the cool thing about that whole entire story is that the first week of sales that I got uh, into roofing sales, transitioning from a project manager for the company. The first week, we had a training seminar that was in, I think, Louisville, that the whole company went to, and it was a Rodney Webb training seminar that they put on with an OC Live, and that rocked my world. I mean, I was just blown away by how much knowledge that Rodney kind of instilled with us within that presentation that he put on. And it really defined the role of if I'm going to go into a house, I want to set myself up as the expert, you know, and I want to be able to wield that power in the home so I can sit there and guide people to a decision, whether it's in a retail setting or whether it's an insurance setting. And that has really defined my whole entire career from like when I started in roofing sales to now that I'm on the social media platforms and I put out videos every day. My my authority comes from the knowledge that I have, but I want to show and set myself up as an expert, whether it's a customer that I'm talking to or fellow roofing contractors.
Yeah, and those homeowners, I'm just gonna say, they can sniff us out. They can tell if
Oh,
we have knowledge on that product or if we don't have knowledge on that product. And we just got back from Top Rep in Arizona, and Chuck Toki, he made a good point. You probably watched that podcast as well, but he made a good point too. It's a difference of pulling that homeowner in or pushing them away for that sale. And you
hmm,
basically want to sit there and pull them in. You don't want to chase them away. And that's why I think having that foundation of that process is so important to have.
yeah. And I think understanding the more that you're in it, the more that you're presenting to a homeowner, you start to realize you don't want to drag on for too long either. You know, you want to make your points on each and every product that you're installing. You want to have your pauses. You want to give them moments and put it in their hands, the products in their hands, so it can really resonate with them, the products that you're installing compared to the competitors or what the market is. And I think the better you get at being punctual with it and not saying too much, I think the more effective it is over a long period of time. And so that's the fun part about what I get to do is I've been doing it for so long now that going into the house I feel very comfortable, but it's always I always try to get to a point where I try to walk into every single bid and close it, you know. And it's not always going to happen, but hey, if you're presenting financing options and you're presenting packages, I think it's definitely something that where, you can kind of move things to where people can, it makes it really hard for people to not do business with you unless if it's something to do with their finances. That's the only thing that they can pull away from. So that's what I get to throw out of today in the house. Um, and I've implemented my own stuff on top of it with the social media. I show people in the house my guy breaking custom metal at our projects so they can see the art of roofing and the processes that we do throughout the build. So it's been fun to kind of kind of add to it over the years.
How did you come to the process of refining your in-house presentation?
Losing them, you know, like you go into a house and I'm not kidding you, Leah. There's so many funny instances because you got the engaged homeowner that really cares about what you're doing, and then you have the people that don't give a flying, you know what you're doing. I mean, I've had everything from people just being frank and stern and just like scouring at me the whole entire time to people
Yeah.
falling asleep and I'm having to tap my drip edge together and be like, come on now, just stay with me here, you know? And then you have the senile grandparents that just they don't even know what's going on. But it's like, how do I communicate effectively with each and every one of those customers and make sense to them, you know? And I think what it comes down to is just being like I said, getting to your points on each and every product that you install and being punctual with it. Not saying too much, just presenting the product as it is, handing it to them. What do you guys think? Do you see the value in installing that product over the industry standard? You know, but over time, that's what drove me to just being obsessed, especially in my youth, being obsessed with getting every single job. There was a time where I had a pair of shoes. I still have them till this day. They're my lucky pair of shoes. And I went 4 months closing every single job I went out to. And I only wore those pairs of shoes because I was so obsessed with the process that I even thought the shoes played a part of it, you know? So, they were a pair of leather chucks that were high chucks, not short chucks. And during the wintertime, I wore pants. But then we got into spring and it started getting really hot. So I'm like, what do I do? Do I wear shorts and high chucks that are leather? And I'll never forget, I had this one guy out in Collierville. I walked up to his door and I knocked on his door. It was the first house I went into with shorts and chucks on to sell a roof on because I was just so obsessed. Like, I got to get this next one. And he opened the door and he said, "What are those clown shoes?" You know? But I went in and I sold him a roof. And I went for 4 months and I didn't not sell a roof until I switched the shoes up for one day, went out and I didn't close the bid. And I was just so devastated by it. But I was just obsessed with the process of selling a roof at that point in time.
How did you break that paradigm? You didn't have the shoes, so how did you break that paradigm?
Um, I think well, like I said, I didn't close that one bid, but then I went back and I talked to my brother, and we went through the process, and he said to me, he's like, whether you're wearing your shoes or not, you have to effectively communicate with the homeowner. And there's some situations that you're not going to be able to break that barrier. But what you can do is you can up the probability of them doing business with you, right? You can have a solid presentation with different value props that you can sit there and negotiate and find the perfect package for them, right? And do business with them that way. But if they can't afford it, then you're kind of wasting your time. So that's why we offer financing options, right? What if the people don't have good credit? You know, well, that takes that away. And then, so there's certain value props that you can do. You can do everything for a homeowner, but sometimes it's just not going to work out the way you want it to. But what we do is we try to give ourselves the best probability going into that sale as we can to come out with a contract.
Right. And there's always going to be that homeowner that it's not a good fit, but you have to leave that house knowing that you went in there being the best person that you could, and you were
Mhm.
leaving such an impression that even if they don't buy from you, they're going to remember your company. And
That
I
is
think
so
I used to
correct.
have, when I first started in sales, I was so emotionally attached that someone would tell me no. And I would still be thinking about them 3 months down the road because I was like, what did I do? What did I do that they told me no? But it's just some people just aren't the right fit for you.
Yeah,
And and I,
100%.
I agree with that. And I think financing, if you're in the roofing industry and you're not offering financing, I think you're leaving a lot on the table.
100%. And I think a lot of the times people get caught up and confused by it. But if you just take the time to sit down and educate yourself on whether it's hearth financing or service financing, having something to offer to people that gives them some relief of having to pay that big ticket price is key because especially today, you're seeing roofs cost four times, not four times, but significantly more today than it was back in 2019. And I thought it cost a lot of money back then, you know? So,
Yeah, the prices of things are whew, definitely through the roof today. So, how was your time at the IRE? I was super bummed I couldn't be there this year, but
it was truly eye-opening. Just and for me, the validation that I got from it. This was the first year that I actually had to go out and promote a product. Most of the years that I went in years past, I just kind of went out and kind of hung out with people and went out to dinner and just kind of used it as a way to connect with people my people that I know online in real life. Well, this year I had the Roof Ivans booth that I was working with Pavel, the owner, and they had this great display. And it was so funny because the night before I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the map and we're in the back left-hand corner. So you have the entrance down here and we're in the far back left-hand corner. And I said to myself, I said, man, I would have to be a huge fan of someone to walk from that front entrance all the way back to the left corner to go see someone in that area. And I said to myself, I just hope people show up, Like it would be cool to be able to hang out, take pictures, and show up for the brand of Roof Ivans because they took a lot in believing in me to promote the product. And next day, I get there super early, and I'm walking the floor, and I'm like, hey, well, we'll see what happens. It is what it is, right? No matter whether people show up or whether they don't. And I'll tell you this much, we have four contractors from around the country show up on their own accord to promote the Roof Ivant products. And they worked the booth the whole entire time. It was Mike the roofologist. He's out of Texas. And then you had ZP, which is out of Wisconsin, Copper Masters, and me. And I thought it was the coolest experience because we were busy from the start of the expo to the end of the expo every day. And we were by far the busiest booth in our section. I mean, we had people coming up left and right. I don't know how much of it was the fact that we were contractors there promoting the product, but it was a surreal experience. I feel like I've met more people that expo than I have in years past, but it was a huge success for everyone. So, and it was a lot of fun too. I mean, we went out every night, and like I said, it was just a great experience overall.
I saw that I really missed out on the Owens Corning party. I was
The
I
Owens
was
Corning
definitely
party was
bummed
so
about
good.
that one.
Yeah, and it was funny because it's like everyone was there too, and so it was great being able to hang out with people out, because like you see people on social media, but you don't have that intimate connection. And it's so funny because last year when we were in Vegas, I hung out with probably about six or seven contractors the entire time. I kind of kept it small as far as like after the expo was over, of people I could hang out with. And we're just running around town in Vegas and having drinks and having a good night. And the guys looked at me at the end of the night and they go, man, we're so happy we got to see you in this light. And I'm like, what light? And I'm like, you guys are my friends, you know? It's like, yeah, but you're not like you're you, but you decided to let your guard down and let us in to see how you are on a regular basis. I said I would have done this whether you guys were my best friends or not. Like I am who I am, and we're just all here having fun, and you guys are my friends. So, but it's always a good time, and to be able to sit there and have those experiences. When we were in Vegas last year, one of my buddies, Segis, which I actually did a video with him this year at the Roof Event booth. Um, when we were in Vegas, we went to the Bellagio, and they had this really cool art exhibit that's massive, and there's all these sculptures and everything. And I actually showed him how I shoot my videos on site. I actually did it around the art exhibit, and he's like, "Man, this is so cool that I get to sit here with you and watch this process." And you're teaching me, like you're taking the time to teach me to do it. And yeah, because it's fun. Like for me, it's fun to be able to put that on, like give that to someone else and have that experience. Like I get a thrill out of it, whether I'm getting paid for it or not. To be able to teach and show people the process of how I document because it's so different, and I think anyone can pick up on it and utilize it. That it's fun to do. So it's
At
always a good
what
experience.
Yeah. At what point of your career did you really see your social media content kind of take off?
I would say definitely around the pandemic. 2019 to 2020 is when I definitely made the best leap as far as growth went. Um, because kind of looking back at that time, we hit that pandemic like where everything shut down, and it became like no one was roofing anymore. So I was kind of the only one that kind of put my foot down and said, you know what, I'm still going to go out. I was super busy at the time. I had a great 2019 where I did 1.3 million. And going into that first quarter, I think I did $350,000 in roofing sales. So my goal for 2020 was to do $2 million. And so, you know, $350,000 in the first quarter, that's great, you know. And I was super hot in March that year. And the day that the pandemic happened, I had 8 appointments set for the next day. And as soon as the NBA shut down, it went. I got phone calls from people. Hey, I don't think it's good for you to come out right now. But out of the 8 people, 4 people decided, hey, listen, we can work through this. I don't think it's that serious. Come out. We'll keep our distance from each other and I think we'll be good. So I said, you know what? Well, those 4 people still want me out. I'll figure something else out for the other 4 people, but those 4 people want me to come out. I'm going to go sign these roofs up. And that's how I kind of played it. The people that would have me in person, I would go out and I would still run the adjuster appointments. I would have my gloves on, I would have my mask on, and I documented around that whole entire process. And you can still go back to this day and look at all the content I put out back then, but I didn't make fun of the pandemic. I was just letting people know I was still roofing through it and I was being safe in the process of doing it, at that time. Um, so it was kind of one of those things where I was one of the only roofers documenting at that time that I was still selling roofs. Some people thought I was crazy. Other people asked me like, "Hey, how are you still able to navigate this? Like, how are you navigating this? Because there's a lot of people that don't want to meet. I'm losing every bid that I send out through email. So what are you doing that's different than me?" I feel like a lot of people, I made a lot of connections at that point that started forming my base community that supports my content every day now. But at that time, like I was doing a lot of virtual calls. We have a design center here at the office. So if people didn't want me out at their house, I would send them the contract through email. I would go through all their different options and, I would go through that process in a digital format. Same thing how I would do it inside of the home. And I closed a lot of deals that way, and I still ended up doing $1.8 million in roofing sales in 2020 through the pandemic. It was by far my most miserable year in sales, but definitely the best year I ever had in roofing sales.
Yeah, and once again, that shows how important it is when it comes down to setting yourself apart from those other contractors because they weren't doing anything, and
Oh yeah.
it just went to prove to your customers how intentional you were to make them the easiest for them that you possibly could.
And talking
But
about
yeah, I
setting your
think
Yeah, talking about setting yourself up as the expert, like at that time, a lot of insurance companies weren't coming out. So we were the people that were getting on the roof, marking up all the damages, sending everything in for the homeowner. A lot of the times I would sit there and take shingle boards out to the homeowners' houses so they could see them in person, and I would set them down and I would spray them with Lysol because I was just like, you know what? Like I got to make people so comfortable with what's going on here. And I think optically it looked great. People love me forever. I still have the people that I did business with at that time. They still refer me to people all the time today. And I think what made that experience so memorable was the challenges that we were going through at the time and just still making it somewhat normal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How did you decide what type of content to stick with?
It's a trial and error, to be honest with you. It's like one of those things where I pay attention to the results I get, um, not so much like I don't come up with all these creative ideas. It's like I'll have a spare the moment of idea to create content for a day, right? And I'll put it out there and I'll measure the results. Like there's some content that I put out and it doesn't get a great response, but then there's like the drone videos or the videos that I do on ground of the construction work that get big results. And over the years, I just kind of always said, okay, if I'm going to grow on social, I have to pay attention to what's getting to the most people, but also what's making the most impact too, right? So I create content for three people, right? I have my homeowners that I'm trying to get to each and every day, right? I have the roofing contractors that study my content, that kind of they pick apart what I do and they learn from it. And then I got the home enthusiasts, the people that are not necessarily in the roofing industry, but outside of our industry that's just loves the HGTV experience, right? So I try to make a piece of content that resonates with all three of those people, right? Those are my digital avatars, as Jim Aldean from the Roofing Success podcast referred to. I think everyone gets stuck on focusing on one, whereas me, I focus on all three and trying to make a video that resonates with all three to get the interaction. Also, there's a lot of communication, just being able to sit there and communicate with people, hearing what they want from me, what they enjoy. I always look for feedback, and I'll tell people be brutally honest with me. Pick apart my content, let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. Do you think it sucks right now? Do you think it's great? uh, Let me know. And when you ask for it, people will give you constructive feedback. And so for me, I'm always my biggest critic though. So I put out content and I look at what works and I try to take that framework and just kind of duplicate it in a different way each and every time. So I have my drone videos, but you change the house, you change the people on the roof, you change the landscape, you change the angles, but so I make my videos every day in that format, but it changes every day, right? But then I got my in-person videos. They're all kind of structured the same way, but I changed the content that's in it, right? And then, I just kind of also leave a little bit of room in there for me to have fun too, not take it so seriously. Like I tell people all the time, they're like, well, some of your content's kind of abrasive and a little bit different. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the content for me. That's the content I like doing. It's not made for you anyways. So yeah, it's all about having fun, and I think if you take it too seriously, you'll get burned out, which I've been there before. So for me, it's about having fun and just posting every day, staying consistent, and keep pushing myself as a creator.
How do you feel about consistency in the overall industry as far as roofing?
Um, I think it's gotten a lot better than it used to be for sure. Um, I mean, you got to think about it. Back in 2017, when I started, there was absolutely no one producing anything like what I do today. Not even myself. I mean, my content when it first started was terrible. I mean, you can go back and look at it. That's why I leave it up, is so people can see the progression of it all. Um, but like I took the chance, and I wasn't worried about being criticized, and I just put out the content. And over the time, what you do is you develop yourself. You develop yourself. You get better on camera. You get better at what you're doing, whether it's flying drones or doing camera work. And you're a student of the process, but you're growing in yourself. And I think that's the most important process, is like being true and authentic to yourself, but still pushing yourself as a creator. Like I still go on YouTube and I'll look up, you know, different people that talk about brand and how to build brands online. But also I'll look up how to do camera work, look up different technologies that I think about implementing. So I'm a student of the game, but I also practice it every day.
And I think to continue advancing, you have to constantly be a student of the game as well. Because if you
Yes.
think you've mastered it, if you think you've mastered it, no pun intended, but if you think that you've mastered it, you're not. That's where you're going to quit. That's
Yeah.
where you're going to end at.
Well, and so many people get like asymmetrical about how they produce their content. Like they only have one way that they produce their content. And that's kind of the problem is because like for me, like you can come to my profile any given day of the week and you'll see something different every day. It's not the same thing. But whether you're a brand in the industry or you're a roofing contractor, you want to give something that people are entertained by. You know, that's not talked about. Everyone wants to talk about educating, but at some point in time, especially on Instagram, you got to think people are coming on the platform to be entertained. They're not necessarily, yeah, sure they are. Some people come on to learn, right? But for the most part, people want to be entertained and learn, and so having different forms of content for people to come onto, and it's different every day. I think that's a key aspect of like staying relevant over time, because if you're hearing the same thing over and over again in the same format, at some point in time you're just like, man, this is exhausting, kind of boring, I'm out. So that's what I kind of do. I try to keep it different for everyone, and try to be creative. Just be different. Have fun.
Right. So how many reps do you have on your team?
So we have 8 sales reps right now currently. Each one probably does around 800 to $1.2 million a year in roofing sales. And the funny part about it is the majority of them have been with us since 2008. So we have a
Oh
really
wow.
old sales force, which is a topic of conversation with me and my father all the time. Because we do need to get younger, but he's just so focused on the customer experience process that he likes the guys that we have now currently, and the focus is on getting them what they need to be successful in the market. And but at some point we do need to get a little bit younger. But yeah, we have a lot of wisdom on our team, and I've been blessed to kind of learn from them over the years.
Yeah, being able to managing to keep those guys for so long, that's a testimony in itself. Because you start
I know
you
some of them
start
since I was 13 years old, believe it or not.
that's crazy.
I'm
That's
31
that's
now.
crazy. That's crazy because it's hard to find good help.
Yes, 100%.
It's like when you get a hold of those, you definitely don't want to let them go. So, what are your ultimate goals for Masters this year?
Um, that's a funny thing. We don't really talk about goals all that much around here. It's more like go out and do your job, Like, we have our milestones. Like, obviously we want to do $100,000 in roofing sales a month. Like that's my goal every month is to do that. Um, Nowadays with the insurance process and how difficult it can be, it can range from where you only do $60,000 one month, and then the next month you get $150,000. So, that's kind of been the adjustment on my part is I used to run myself, you know, kind of flat, uh, trying to trying to keep up with my own standards in the industry, uh, but also just kind of figure out like how to make my job easier because it's only gotten so much harder. Since I don't know how long you've been in it, but like when I got into it a long time ago, it was so much easier when it came to the insurance process and dealing with adjusters and getting roofs approved. That now it's like, I'm doing 3 times the amount of work that I used to do. So at the end of the day, uh, I think I had to change my expectations over time because it's just not like it used to be. So, but I think the negative aspects of my job now, running my head against the wall to get these roofs approved with the insurance companies. Um, it's very rewarding when you finally get a roof a roof approved after a month and a half of fighting for it, you know. But it's just a lot of unnecessary work, in my opinion.
It is, it
So
really is. Are you guys carrying out the insurance process all the way to the end? Do you follow up with the adjuster for the homeowner, or do
yeah,
you the homeowner
yeah,
do that?
I do all the communication from start to finish. I structure it to where I go into the house and I say, hey, listen, at the end of the day, especially if you're dealing with State Farm or Allstate, it's going to be a dogfight from start to finish. I know I probably shouldn't have said those names out loud, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And
Like a good neighbor, they're never there.
unfortunately, and hopefully they don't listen to this podcast, but
I hope not.
yeah, but I tell people, hey, and even some of the better insurance companies have gotten tougher over the years. And so I set up the expectation as what it is, which is, hey, listen, this might be a dogfight from start to finish. However, I'm going to guide you every step of the way. We're going to set this up the right way. I call in every claim with the homeowner, so that way, I can set the data loss correctly and make sure that we have the right thing said to get the adjuster out there. But if a roof gets denied, it's just really diving into figuring out what the adjuster wants from us to move the claim forward and ultimately meeting those standards, But I do a lot of the communication through the homeowner because you have so much more success when it's coming from the homeowner than when it's coming from us.
Right. And I think one thing that is a killer in the insurance industry is when the contractor themselves will overpromise. Because we
Yes.
understand how the insurance companies work. The homeowner does not. And basically what I feel like they do is they set themselves up for failure because they'll go in and they'll overpromise to this homeowner, this is gonna go this way, this is gonna go this way. But then the first negative feedback that they get from that insurance adjuster, they don't know how to handle it, so they have to run back to the homeowner. And when
Yep.
they run back to the homeowner is just as confused as you are, as the rep.
Yes.
And so I think I agree with you there. I think 100% the best thing for that is to just be upfront and honest about how this claim could actually go and
Hmm.
letting them know up front. We've already seen some of these claims run off to like 6 months before we got it closed.
Yeah. I had one the other month where it was I think 9 or 10 months that poor lady stuck with fighting her insurance company, and finally after 10 months they approved her roof. And it's sad that it has to go that far, and it's sad that it takes that much time, to get to the ultimate verdict that we said was the issue. Whether it's matching or the fact that the shingle is no longer made anymore, they're trying to do said repair with another shingle that doesn't maintain a uniform appearance or the size specifications. And it's frustrating for me and it's frustrating with the homeowner. But I think if you set it up on the front end as, hey, listen, this is how it's going to go, then it's less disappointing. Like I have one recently with a great insurance company, and the adjuster comes out and marks up the roof, marks up all the damages. The roof is 2 layers. Top layer, shingle no longer made anymore. Slam dunk, right? The homeowner or the adjuster comes off the roof, says, "Hey, I'm going to put this in for a full roof replacement. We're going to get everything submitted, and you know, yeah, great. See you on the next one, Drew. I'm out of here." He submits all of his findings to the supervisor. They come back with a 3 square repair. But the good thing was I said to her before we left, I said, hey, listen, this guy's an independent adjuster, you know. He's going to submit his findings to the insurance company. You heard his recommendation as well as I did that he's going to put it in for a full roof replacement. But just knowing insurance companies, it's not set in stone. The supervisor can always come back with something different. If it does, don't be surprised. It's still an easy argument for why this roof needs to be replaced rather than repaired. But yeah, just give me a call once that you get that final scope. And sure enough, she got a final scope back for a 3 square repair. And she said, "I'm glad that you kind of set my expectations the right way because I thought it was getting approved." You know. And I said, "Well, it
Mhm.
still is. We just got a little bit more work to do on my end."
And that's why it's so important to meet those adjusters out there as well.
Hmm.
And I set my homeowners up the same way because I always tell them like, listen, just like you said, they're independent. They can put in their advice, but it doesn't mean it's going to go that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's crazy. Back from when I first got into sales, our company started in 2015, and I was office receptionist for a year, and then I got into sales after that. And it's crazy how it's progressed from the point of they would give us checks on the job site to now, like we said, 6 to 10 months before we can even get one check for that homeowner.
Hmm.
And it comes down to too. I think us contractors need to be honest. I
Hmm.
mean, if it's a repair test and we do a repair test and those shingles are 5 years old and they can handle a repair test, don't try and fight for a full roof
Yeah.
replacement. Build a rapport, wait another 5 to 6 years, another shingle's gonna blow off, and then sell them a whole new roof.
And sell the repair too. Like that's one thing
Exactly.
about us is like we do. I think we did almost $2 million worth of repairs last year.
Hmm.
So I think, and that's something that our market needs desperately, is so many people only want to do roof replacements, and
Right.
the fact that we have a streamlined repair system that gets people in and out, within a week of them signing up with us, they get their repair done on their house, and we stand behind it. It's not a cheap process, but at the end of the day, the homeowner respects it because it's like, hey, do I want to pay $20,000 for this roof or file a claim that's not necessary, or do I just want to pay, 3,200 bucks to get this repaired and have it done right? And I think it's important to set those expectations and give people options. Like I had a guy in yesterday where I suggested a repair. He was dead set on going through the insurance process, and he does have hail damage, he does have wind damage, but he has State Farm. So I leaned heavy on the repair, and then it was like, all right, he's not going for it, so let's go through the claim process. Yay,
Yeah, giving what he wants. I mean, sometimes it comes down to that's what you got to do. And yeah, it's unreal because so many people will get caught up in the this is what they automatically see, right? And think about it, $2 million that you sold in repair, all those customers, that's $2 million worth of customers that are going to come back to you when they're ready for something bigger.
exactly,
Because
yeah.
you were the one that was upfront with them, you was the one that was honest with them, and overall you were the one that actually wanted to help them complete what they wanted.
Yeah. And I
So
had a guy that I did a big repair for, and I think just making the experience one that's worthwhile for the homeowner, whether it's a full replacement or a repair, I think that can make a huge impression and get that business that you want back. Like when that time comes for a full roof replacement. I had a guy in Spain. I had a guy that I signed up for a repair. His wife was home during the repair, but he was in Spain. I'm flying up the drone as the repair is going on, and I'm taking videos of everything that's being done. I cut up the videos, I send it to him, say, hey, this is what we did throughout the process. There was also a couple other issues that wasn't included in the scope, but we went ahead and threw them in, got them done. And he was so thrilled that he called immediately, paid with a credit card, on to the next repair for us, but it's that experience. And I just kind of thought it was so cool that he's all the way in Spain. He was so happy with the project that I mean, I'm sure it was nighttime by the time that he got the final video, and but it was daytime here, and he called and paid with a credit card. So it's about the experience, regardless of whether it's a full roof replacement or a repair.
100%, you got to treat all of those customers the same.
Yes,
They're all equal no matter what. And yeah, and once again, it comes down to like you just sending the video. No other contractor is going to do that for them.
exactly.
You probably gained yourself 10 or 15 different referrals right there, and
I hope so.
it's it's unreal because we can tend to make it harder than it needs to be for ourselves
Yes,
just by
and I
being just by being lazy with the system.
exactly, and I think, well, and that's kind of the good thing about having technology on your side, right? Like having the
Right.
drones and the means to be able to do that. Like there's some guys here, I preach about drones all the time, And I'm one out of two sales guys that have a drone out of the eight sales guys that we have. You see those? I don't know what happened
Where
there,
did
but
it come from? Wasn't me.
but as I was saying,
Oh.
maybe it was a good point. Maybe maybe StreamYard thought that was a good point there. Um, I
Oh
forgot what what I was saying there.
gosh.
Um, okay,
Well, congratulations on having a drone, Andrew.
yeah, there we go. Okay, so I preach to sales guys and I say, hey, listen, it makes your life so much easier. Whether it's when the insurance comes out, you can fly up and take photos of all the markings on the roof. That solidifies that an inspection was done. You get a photo of them getting on the roof, them getting off on the roof. You document the duration that they were on the roof, right? And then you send photos of it and you just type out to the adjuster, hey, here's all the findings, overshots of every slope. Um, Damage was found on the roof. You can see all the markings for yourself. Um, the inspection took this amount of time. You know, thank you so much. Have a great day. You're submitting that documentation to the insurance company and the customer, right? So that's one way that you can use a drone, or you can fly up and take in progress videos of the installs being done, repairs being done, send that to the homeowner, post it on social media, get your exposure. Or you can do post production pictures that you can use in the home. I have tabs of roofs that I've just done on my iPad that I just swiped through. It's like, okay, you want Timberline HDZ Weatherwood? Here's 30 roofs on mansions that I've done of Weatherwood. Do you love that color or do you not? Okay, you like driftwood instead? I go to my driftwood tab and I got 30 photos of the same thing. So there's so many uses for that $2,500 investment that you'll have on a drone. And that's for a nice drone. That's not even for a basic one, but it saves you so much headaches and it adds to the customer experience. I don't understand why people don't love it. It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and it's those inspections. It helps those inspections, especially when you get like in our area, a lake house. You go to the lake and you've got these crazy 13 12s up there. And there's no other contractors getting up there. I mean, very rarely in our area you'll see a contractor take out a harness and actually climb up there. But with the drone, you can get top-down footage, show them exactly what's wrong with that area. There you go. You're setting yourself apart. It's going to help you win the sale overall.
I
And
had a guy, yeah, I had a guy last Thursday I went out to. He's coming in tomorrow to sign up for a roof. He was with another contractor for three separate repairs on nail pops, right? On these slopes. Well, he kind of disgruntled with the repairs that are done because like the guy overpromised and underdelivered, right? He said that it was going to match. There's no way that shingle's going to match, right? At all. I mean, the roof's probably 15, 16 years old. This guy said that it's going to match. But he called me out there and I fly up the drone and he has two 14-12 slopes on the front side of the house that he'd never seen before. And he probably had 40 to 50 nail pops on those slopes alone, and then nail pops on the ridge caps up top. So I said to him, I just said, hey, listen, your roof's 16 years old. It's not going to match or maintain a uniform appearance ever from this point forward. This shingle is no longer made anymore. Yeah, you can file a claim with the insurance process if you want to, but honestly, you don't really have the damages up there. So I would just go ahead and pay for a new roof because at the end of the day, a repair is not going to do it on this. And he was so frustrated with the last contractor because they didn't recognize all the issues that were going on. And he spent thousands and thousands of dollars in repairs. And he's like, I was having other issues the whole time. So, but I told him, I said, the reason why you weren't probably notified is because the contractor or the roofer that was out here couldn't get on that slope without a rope and harness. And so therefore those slopes didn't get checked. So I said, I'm not trying to stick up for the guy. You should have been notified of it. But If you would have had a drone, it probably would have been a different story. You probably would have noticed the widespread of damage that you had from installation issues.
Yep, and he would have never spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and he could have had a new roof by now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's. I keep telling our guys on our team, I was like, you're gonna pay one job and you can get a mini, a DJI mini, and pay like 400 bucks for it. Sell a job and there you go. And
Yeah,
I was like, you're gonna profit. You're gonna profit double, if not triple the amount.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a no-brainer to me.
So, how does your company do with inspections? Do you guys offer free inspections or?
We offer free inspections. I mean, that's kind of where the market kind of sets it at. I mean, I think we would all love to charge. The bigger players in town would love to charge for inspections, but the problem is there's just so many people that's trying to keep up that offer them for free anyways. And so most of the time, like we have a guy that climbs roofs for us. We don't necessarily have to climb our own roofs. So I'll fly up the drone if I feel like I need to have my guy come out, which is rare. But at the end of the day, I do my own inspections most of the time with the drone. If I can't find the leak or determine where it's coming from, then I'll get my guy on the roof if I have to. But that's kind of how we carry out our inspections.
So you got a guy that climbs all of your roofs for you. So when you're going out for the initial appointment, you're not actually getting on the roof, you're just flying your drone.
Yep, no, and the majority of our sales guys don't climb on the roofs, and the reason why is because we want to keep everyone honest. So like we have a guy that gets paid a set amount each and every week that climbs our roofs, and he goes up there and it's just a free and honest roof inspection. So that
Mhm.
way, the problem is when you get someone up there with a vested interest in getting that roof bought, that's when you get the shady aspects of the industry happening. So from the start of the company, my father said, I want to offer free and honest roof inspections. The way that we do that is we take the vested interest out of it by having, someone who works for our company but is a third party inspector, essentially getting up on the roof, checking it, and that way we get honest feedback on what's going on up there.
Interesting. So do you guys run into any negative feedback on your sales rep not actually getting on the roof while they're there?
No, yeah, and we kind of set it up that way. Hey, we're gonna have Tony Britt, our repair specialist, come out. He's gonna hop on the roof. He's gonna search for where the leaks are coming from and pinpoint them. Then also we do video GoPro inspections too. So like he'll do a GoPro to where he actually shows, at the bottom perimeter, he'll lift up the shingles, show if there's drip edge present on the bottom perimeter, get on the roof, he'll find any nail pops, he'll go up and look at the flashing on the roof to walls. Just do a thorough inspection overall, and all of our sales guys set it up that way. And then what I love about it is like that's someone else that doesn't have a vested interest on whether you're getting a new roof or not, right? So when I'm in the home and I'm explaining that, whether it's with a drone or if someone else is on the roof, preferably in that situation, it's like, hey, this is what he's seeing. He could come back at the end of the video and say, hey, this roof is completely healthy. I don't see any reason why this homeowner should be getting a new roof right now. They just need to caulk the nail heads on the pipe boots and around the vents, and that's all they need on this. But I get a third party making that statement. So I can sit there, point out the issues that I'm seeing on the roof, but at the end of the day, they're getting a third party validation. So if someone is told that they needed a new roof, they're being told by someone that's outside of me as a sales guy. Either way, we're going to find out together when we watch this for the first time.
That's actually a smart process.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of mind-boggling, actually. I never thought of that. So yeah, our reps we get on the roof while we're there. So I mean, when we do a repair, we'll have our repair techs check the rest of it out, like to help them out. Um, but yeah, that's a great process, I think.
Yeah. Well, I
So
like it because I don't have to worry about falling off a roof either.
yeah, I hate when that happens.
Be careful up there, please.
Well, yeah, hey, Andrew, I definitely appreciate you hopping on and being my second ever podcast. One thing I like to ask before I end the podcast is if you had any knowledgeable advice to give to someone in the roofing industry or maybe even just starting out. Would you have anything to share?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is making sure that you're developing yourself always. You know, taking the time out of your day to go to whether it's an OC Live event that's being put on, whether it's John C. Neck learning through the insurance process. That's a great one that I recently just went to. That was fantastic. That opened up a lot of doors for me on the insurance process. I felt going into it, I knew a lot about the insurance process, and then seeing his system and the way that he sets things up, it opened a lot of doors for me. So I think that's one of the biggest things that even if I, who have been in this industry for 10 years now, that I feel pretty confident that I'm a decent sales guy at this point. You can still learn and grow, whether it's at a John C. Nedke event or Roddy Webb. Get out, learn, be poured into by these experts, and then go back home and practice it each and every day. And same thing for social. Like if you're going to put yourself on camera, practice it frequently. Practice it 2 to 3 times a week, and don't necessarily worry about the way it looks now. Just know that what it's going to look like 2 to 3 years from now after you've been doing it for a while. And just progression is the key to staying relevant in this industry. And pour into your communities too. Like go back out, invest in local charities, do the events. If you have a customer that has a charity that charity event that they are looking for sponsors for, do it. Go to the events, socialize with people, make those connections. Get with your local BNI chapters, get with your local chamber of commerce meetings, be a part of that community, because at the end of the day, that's going to make the connections that are going to keep you busy without you have to go knock doors or send out mailers. So it's bigger than just social media for me. It's a full encompassing process that you have to
Mhm.
engulf yourself in to really learn and understand. But once that you figure it out, you'll learn so much from it, and you'll be a better sales rep because of it, and you'll stay busy.
Don't just be a business.
Yeah, don't just be a business. And
Don't just be a business.
yes, that's true. But I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to seeing this grow, and I would love to come back at some point too. If you ever need a guest to fill in, I'm here for you.
Oh, you'll definitely be back. All right, I appreciate it, Andrew. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.